My name is Margaret Joseph, and I'm 29 years old. If you ask anyone who knows me, they'll tell you I've always been the steady one, the quiet anchor, the type of person you can count on to keep promises, remember birthdays, make dinner even when I'm tired, and actually listen when you tell me about your day. I never thought being steady could ever be seen as a flaw. When I met Ethan, he made me believe it was the very thing that set me apart. I still remember that first year when he used to wrap his arms around me from behind while I worked on my laptop and whisper, "You're the anchor I never knew I needed." His words melted into me like honey, and for the first time I thought maybe I didn't need to be dazzling or unpredictable to be loved. Maybe showing up every day, just as I was, could be enough. Ethan was trying to write a novel back then. I believed in his talent, so I carried more of the weight, paying the rent, cooking, cleaning. I never once made him feel guilty about it. If anything, I felt proud that I could give him space to focus on his dream. And in the beginning, he appreciated it. He'd look at me with that soft, almost reverent smile, as if I'd rescued him from a storm. But storms don't stay quiet forever. I don't know the exact moment things shifted, but I remember the signs. He began going out more. First, writers' nights, then catching up with old friends. He started dressing differently, too. Not just casual nice, but deliberate. Fitted shirts, expensive cologne, a little too much gel in his hair. And then came the phone. The screen always tilted away from me. Notifications turned off. Messages answered in the bathroom with the door shut. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Everyone deserves privacy. But in the back of my mind, a cold suspicion began to take root. One night, I was walking past the living room and heard a woman's voice on speaker, not laughing politely, but the kind of laugh that curls around words, intimate. Ethan's head snapped up when he saw me, and he ended the call in a heartbeat. "Who was that?" I asked. He didn't even flinch. "Oh, that's Melissa. We were friends in college. She just reached out." "Melissa?" I repeated slowly. "Funny, you never mentioned her before." Ethan shrugged, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "It's not a big deal. She just gets me, you know? We went through similar stuff back then. It's good to reconnect." Something inside me clenched. "Gets you?" The words hung in the air like smoke. I wanted to say, "Haven't I been here every single day, listening, supporting, holding you together when you fell apart?" But his expression warned me off. A tired sigh, the kind people give when they want to shut down a conversation without refusing outright. "Margaret, don't make this a thing. You're amazing, but sometimes I need to talk to people who've actually been through what I've been through. You've had a pretty stable life. Melissa listens without trying to fix me." That line lodged itself in my chest like a thorn, not because I believed it, but because I realized I was suddenly being compared and found lacking. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt since we first met, the tremor of being quietly replaced. A few weeks later, I tried to bridge the growing distance between us. One evening, while we were making dinner, I asked gently, "Do you want to go visit my parents next weekend? They've been asking about you." Ethan's hand stilled over the chopping board. He didn't meet my eyes. "I don't think I'm in the right headspace to be around people who expect things from me, especially your mom." I froze. My mother adored him. She always went out of her way to make him feel welcome. The excuse didn't fit. He caught my look and added quickly, "It's just, everyone around you sees me as lucky, but maybe I want to feel lucky too." His words were careful, but the undertone wasn't. Something had shifted. The man who once said I was his anchor now made me feel like a weight tied around his ankle. Still, I pushed the unease aside. I wanted to believe it was just stress, just a phase. But the truth was waiting for me, casual as a storm cloud. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. I came home from grocery shopping, bags digging into my arms. I tossed him a pack of the protein bars he liked, smiling. "Hey, I got the ones you wanted." Ethan barely looked up from his phone. Then, without hesitation, he said, "Margaret, I didn't cheat. I just reconnected with someone who actually gets me." My world tilted. The bag slipped from my hands. "What? Melissa?" He nodded once, eyes flicking back to his screen. "We kissed, but it wasn't cheating. It was just closure." The word closure echoed in my ears like a cruel joke. I stared at him, trying to find the man I once knew. "Closure?" I whispered. "You wouldn't understand," he said lightly. "You've never had anything real and messy. You've always been steady, safe. I needed to feel the chaos again, just to figure myself out." That word, chaos. He said it like it was a prize, like stability was a prison he needed to escape. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't even ask how long it had been going on. I just nodded. Okay. His head jerked up, confusion flashing across his face. Okay? What does that mean? It means, I said evenly, go do what you need to do. Maybe he expected me to fight, to cry, to give him the performance that would make his betrayal easier to justify. But I gave him nothing. That weekend, Ethan packed a bag and said he was going to Melissa's just to clear his head. He didn't know I had already made my own decision. While he was gone, I packed my things into 2 suitcases. I scrubbed the apartment until not a single trace of me remained. I left his keys on the coffee table, right beside the candle he once bought me last winter, now burned down to nothing but wax. And then I walked away without leaving a note, without leaving a goodbye. Because when someone can look you in the eye and rename betrayal as closure, you don't owe them a single word. The night Ethan came back to the apartment, I was already long gone. The drawers were empty, the closet hollow, my scent vanished from the sheets. At 7:42 p.m., my phone lit up. Ethan. Margaret, what the hell is this? Where are you? Why are your drawers empty? A minute later, Margaret, seriously, this is immature. I told you I needed space. This is a huge overreaction. 10 minutes passed. So you just leave while I'm gone? Like a coward? This is abandonment. That word, abandonment. The same man who had kissed another woman, who had justified betrayal as closure, was now calling himself the abandoned one. I didn't answer. The messages kept coming over the next few days. Each one shifted tones like he was trying on new masks. Anger, accusation, pleading, blame. This is cruel, Margaret. You knew I was vulnerable. You're throwing away everything we built. I never left you. You left me. I muted his number, but silence has a way of amplifying desperation. A week later, my phone buzzed with a name I didn't expect. Vanessa. She used to be Ethan's friend. Never really mine. Hey, Margaret. I just wanted to say, I get it now. I used to think you were too quiet, too passive, but I see what happened. Ethan's been a mess. Melissa dumped him after like 5 days, said he was too much, too intense. 5 days. That was the lifespan of the soulmate connection he had risked everything for. I stared at Vanessa's message, a bitter laugh catching in my throat. The very traits Ethan had accused me of lacking. The storm, the chaos, Melissa had rejected in him. Vanessa added one more line, not taking sides, but people are starting to see it. He romanticized dysfunction. You never had a chance. I didn't reply. I didn't want to be pulled into the gossip, but I couldn't stop the shiver of recognition. Ethan wasn't just unraveling, he was rewriting the story to make himself the victim. That night, against my better judgment, I checked his social media. The transformation was almost grotesque. The cheerful snapshots of us together were gone. In their place, black and white selfies, teary-eyed close-ups, cryptic quotes like, "You can't lose someone who was never really yours." The calm ones hurt you in silence. Safety isn't the same as love. The comments were turned off. I shut my phone and pressed my palms against my eyes, realizing exactly what was happening. Ethan wasn't mourning me. He was performing pain. He wanted an audience for his downfall, a stage for his tragedy. And in some twisted way, he believed I was still watching. Ethan's messages didn't stop. They only grew more desperate. At first, it was short bursts of guilt. Margaret, you're punishing me with silence. Congrats. You win. I'm miserable. Then it turned into full confessions, voice notes at 2 a.m. His voice cracked halfway through 1. I know I hurt you, okay? But I was confused. You were so perfect it made me feel broken. Melissa was just a distraction, a test. But she wasn't you. She was never you. Please, call me back. I didn't. Instead, I started piecing myself back together. I took on 2 new design clients. I began sleeping through the night again. Even the smallest things. Waking up before my alarm, drinking coffee without nausea, listening to music I'd forgotten I loved, felt like signs that I was resurfacing. But Ethan, he was unraveling in public. Vanessa texted me again one afternoon. He posted one of his old short stories on Medium. It's about a woman trapped in a relationship with a passive-aggressive partner who uses silence as a weapon. The woman cheats, but it's framed as empowerment. The ending? She's alone, misunderstood, and readers are supposed to pity her. I read the description twice and felt a chill run down my spine. Ethan hadn't just rewritten our breakup for social media. He was fictionalizing it, bending it into a narrative where he was the victim and I was the villain. 3 likes. One of them was his own. Then came the shift in his messages. No longer just blame, but guilt bombs. Long streams of text without punctuation. Desperation spilling across the screen. I miss the way you looked at me like I was whole, even when I wasn't. I know I pushed you away, but it wasn't because I didn't love you. It was because I didn't know how to love myself. Melissa just made me feel seen for a second, but it wasn't real. It was never real. And now I'm stuck, and you won't even talk to me, and it's killing me because you were my person. I stopped reading. By then, I wasn't angry anymore. Not heartbroken, just detached, as though Ethan was someone I'd once known in another life. But detachment doesn't stop ghosts from knocking. It happened on a Saturday morning. I was in sweatpants, sipping coffee, scrolling through client emails, when I heard a knock on my apartment door. I opened it without thinking, and there he was. Ethan. He looked ruined. Hollow eyes sunk into dark circles, hair greasy and unkempt, hoodie hanging off his frame like it belonged to someone else. He smelled faintly of old cologne and stale regret. "Margaret," he breathed, like saying my name might save him. "Can we talk?" I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please, just 5 minutes. I'm not here to beg." Then he laughed once, brittle and broken. "Okay, maybe a little begging." We sat on the concrete steps, the morning sun making his exhaustion look even harsher. He kept his hands clasped, eyes down, like a child caught lying. "You hurt me," he started. "More than I thought possible. You ghosted me, Margaret. You didn't even try. You just walked away like I was trash." I tilted my head, studying him. "You said it wasn't cheating. You called it closure, that I wouldn't understand." He flinched. "You're quoting me now?" "No," I said evenly. "I'm reflecting. You wanted honesty. I'm giving it to you." He shook his head, desperation tightening his jaw. I was scared. Melissa reminded me of who I used to be. She made me feel alive again. But she wasn't you. She could never be you. I stared at him, feeling the strange clarity that comes after a storm. "You didn't want to understand yourself. You just wanted to feel wanted by someone new. And when that burned out, you came back here, looking for what you threw away." "I didn't throw you away," he snapped, voice cracking. "I got confused." "Confused people don't kiss their exes and rename it growth," I replied. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument could have been. Finally, his voice broke into a whisper. "We were good together. I could see us finding our way back. You were home to me." I looked at him and realized something shocking. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel longing, not even sadness. I felt nothing. I stood, brushing dust from my sweatpants. "I'm not your home anymore, Ethan. I don't think I ever was. I was just a stop on your way to chaos." His eyes shone wet. "You're really not going to give me another chance?" I gave him a polite, detached smile. "No, but I hope you find what you're looking for, just not here." I walked back inside and closed the door. He didn't knock again. Ethan never reached out directly again after that morning on the steps. But ghosts don't die quietly. Vanessa messaged me a few weeks later. "Just FYI, Ethan's telling people you emotionally abandoned him. He says he tried to reconcile, but you refused to grow." I thanked her, then asked her not to send me updates anymore. I didn't need to know how he spun the story. The people who mattered already knew the truth. The rest? Let them believe whatever made them feel important. Still, fragments of his collapse drifted into my orbit. Screenshots from mutual acquaintances. A glimpse of his new healing account on Instagram. Cryptic quotes, grainy selfies, captions like, "Sometimes the calmest people are the most dangerous. Don't confuse silence with peace." 2 followers, 4 likes. Once, Lena, my brother's fiance, showed me one post with disbelief. I only shook my head and turned away. Ethan could twist the narrative however he wanted. I was done caring. Because by then, my life had begun to bloom again. I'd found a small apartment, clean white walls, sunlit mornings, hardwood floors that didn't creak with memories. I set up a big desk for my design work, bought myself a cheap coffee maker, and hung a single plant in the corner. I named it Felix. It thrived more than Ethan ever did. For the first time in years, I felt free. And then life surprised me. I wasn't looking for anyone, but I met Lucas. No drama, no chaos. Just a man who didn't need to be rescued from storms or chased into calm. He was steady in a way that didn't drain me, because he wasn't fighting himself every second. With him, peace wasn't boring. It was effortless. We started simple. Coffee dates, bookstore walks, cooking dinner together on slow Sundays. He didn't romanticize dysfunction. He didn't need chaos to feel alive. One evening, months later, I found myself at a birthday party hosted by a mutual acquaintance. Vanessa was there, along with a few of Ethan's old friends. "You look good," Vanessa said, hugging me. Like, actually good. Rested, calm, confident. I smirked. "I sleep better when I'm not being gaslit." The group laughed, but I noticed the way their shoulders relaxed, as if they'd been waiting for someone to say it aloud. Then, across the room, I saw him. Ethan. He hadn't seen me yet. His hoodie sagged off his frame. His hair was unkempt, his eyes restless, unfocused. He held a drink but didn't sip. He drifted between conversations without ever belonging. Then his gaze lifted and landed on me. For a moment, his face lit up like he thought I might smile, wave, offer him some sliver of recognition, some thread back to the story he once cast himself as hero in. But I didn't move. I didn't look away either. I just looked through him. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even haunted anymore. He wasn't part of my story. Not anymore. He blinked, faltered, and turned back to the bar. That was the last time I saw him. Now, my life is quieter. Smaller, maybe. But it's better. Filled with sunlight, design projects that excite me, and weekends where Lucas and I write in the same room without needing to fill the silence. Sometimes I think back to Ethan's words that day. I didn't cheat. I just reconnected with someone who actually gets me. It makes me laugh now, because in the end, I did reconnect. Not with him, not with Melissa, not with anyone else. I reconnected with myself, and that was enough.